scanner went off, or reminded of the meeting tonight. Remove your hats. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Miller, please.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we pray that you watch over the activities of this evening, that we can have good conversation and we can make good decisions on behalf of the citizens of our town. And I just pray you watch over all of us as we leave tonight, that we can safely get to the destinations we go to. In your name we pray. Amen.
Okay. Reading and approval of the minutes from January 6th.
Motion to approve and suspend the reading.
Motion by Wolf to approve.
Second.
Second by Hack. Discussion. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, approval of the agenda. Any changes or additions to the agenda? Okay,
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
okay, motion by Pillar.
Second.
Second by Stern. Discussion. All in favor of the agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, guests, make sure there's a sign sheet, so please make sure you guys get signed in on that sheet, please. Okay, 5A, Jared.
Thank you. I still have a copy of the agenda or reports with you. I'm gonna just breeze through the top three projects because it's the winter and construction really won't start up again until April or May. So leave them on here as a placeholder for now, unless anybody has any questions, concerns about it. Really the next thing on my list is the water storage system upgrades. As you know, we completed the amendment to your water system study this summer, and we've been trying to get money for that water storage project. Monty and I attended the State Water Commission subcommittee meeting last week and got positive results out of that. We've got about 20 municipal water supply projects on their list that they're trying to fund in the state. And it looks like in February, if things go well, they'll offer you some funding for that project, which if you remember is a 60% cost share on replacing the tank, concrete structure. Nothing's a done deal, and we'll just monitor it and see what happens, but I would anticipate that that's looking positive.
So the remaining, so the state would cover 60-40 from us, so we can use prairie dog for that then?
Yep, that was the intention.
Yep.
As far as the timing
That's great news.
it's great news, yeah. As far as the timing goes, if that happens in February, we'll have to start narrowing down the exact location. We'll have to do some soil borings. You know, there's a handful of spots that we could put it, but we'll need higher elevation on that northwest side of town, and we'll mark the spots and help secure the location and negotiate that part of it. But nothing really to do yet, other than if you want to start having some conversations about likelihood. There's few neighboring landowners up there we could talk to, but sounds good, sounds positive. ND Streets program application, I wasn't here at the last meeting. I think Monty told you guys that a portion of those areas were technically within the city limits, and a portion of them are outside the city limits. So if we're gonna continue and leave the project as you wished, we'll have to look at doing some annexation and a few of those little strips along the highway. What I'm focused on is just the spot that's affecting our NDDOT Streets project application, which is the west piece there, right along the highway, and then the center piece in town along the highway, and then on the far east side, right along the highway as well, where we plan some trail lighting and crossing improvements. So annexation stuff, we'll have to talk with Pat about that process, or maybe you have already, but if we're gonna submit it, we need to show the DOT that stuff is annexed, and timing wise, it might not work out for this round of applications. We might have to withdraw it and resubmit it, depending on what you guys decide to do, or how fast the process goes. So, we put together some maps. This is based on, I know, some past conversations that have been had.
I guess just one other area on the map that we talked about this last spring or summer.
There's a garage down here. No, that's still in the county. And the road that runs on the north side of the parking lot now of the hospital leads down to the garage. That's down there. Accident's old place.
Yeah.
Property.
So really, I can add it if it's, the commission to decide what we're gonna do with this. If we're gonna pursue it and try and address just those little pieces, or all of it at once. And just Pat will have to help the process.
So the pieces that are affecting the project are gonna be less emotional than the other pieces.
The way I understand it, it would just be highway
Right.
annexing. Nobody would protest.
Right.
That's probably,
So if it's a timeline situation, we might want to
yeah.
deal with those
Yeah.
right away. So, and then the rest of it at a later time, so.
That's what I would like to see happen.
And I guess I got like one more, the map I got here is one lot, I think. Up over there.
Is that off the Ash?
You can see the dotted line that goes across the lot. It splits
Right here.
right there.
Is that the one on Ash, Monty?
No, that's actually over on Sunrise.
Like I said, Casey, we can add, subtract, do whatever. It's all dependent on how much you guys wanna take on right now. Part of it, none of it, all of it. It's up to you guys.
Well, doing the highway right away, you think that'd be, we can get that in time to get this, Pat? How long of a process is that, are we looking at?
Well, if the highway department consents, it should be pretty quick. There's a question of right-of-way ownership in terms of state law. They have conflicting provisions within state law. One says that even if it says it's an easement for or if it's a deed for right-of-way, it's only an easement. That would mean that the owners of the land surrounding that would be the owners. The other provisions that all pertain to annexation say that if it's right-of-way, only the state right-of-way for highway purposes, only the state highway department has to address it. So it's just a question of who you have to notify.
Okay.
I guess we'd follow the easiest route.
Okay. All right. Because all these other little spots, I think, are gonna take more investigation and more discussion and probably meetings with the public to get those done. And with this timeline for this project, and we need to get these in quick. It's a question on the underpass walkway by the Senex over there.
Yeah.
That would be on the west side of the county road, I'm assuming, and not the east side, because Antelope Creek is too close there. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so what do you need from us tonight?
Well, that's a fair question. I have told the DOT that you intend to address that, and we have the application done. If it's not signed, we'll have it signed and submitted to them, but I don't know what they're gonna want. If they're gonna want some type of signed documents, I just don't know. I don't know what the process is. We just tell
Well,
them.
your application said that,
Would,
it would be kind of pending.
would it be sufficient to at least have a motion and vote that we could send you minutes saying we are proceeding with it?
Sure.
Can't hurt, I'm guessing.
I move that we move forward with the annexation or whatever is involved with that for the 3 locations associated with the DOT projects. 2 along the cart pathway and 1 for the proposed underpass.
And just want to point out too that, with the annexation does come some of the maintenance responsibilities, and it sounds like you guys are doing those now anyways. Yes, but there will be a new document issued that you'll have to, cost participation and maintenance agreement will have to get adjusted. So I'm sure it'll officially say then the pothole repair, then the shoulder parking lanes and ditch mowing and things like that. Your guys's.
And also the engineers will have to come up with a legal description for that property that you plan to annex.
Yeah, we can do that.
We have a motion by Pillar,
Second.
second by Wolf, discussion.
So I guess just to be clear on this, so we're gonna annex in this blue area? And that one, right?
Yep.
And are we doing this one too?
No, the one
No.
further over to right there.
This one right there.
No.
And
That involves private property there.
Is that for the underpass over there?
No.
The
No.
underpass will be here.
That's,
Okay, so my intent with the motion was the 3 locations associated with the DOT projects.
Okay,
Just
so
the
we'll do
first-
those 3.
Just the right of way, yeah,
Yep.
not the private property.
It's not private property
Okay.
at this time.
So then would there only be 2 then?
No, still 3, but the bottom half of,
Oh, yeah.
this
Okay.
portion of the bottom case will not be, just
Okay.
just along the highway.
Just clarifying that, so the one on the right involves both, the blue area involves both the street and a private property, and you would just be addressing the street
The
portion.
right of
The right of way.
Correct. Yes.
a sliver of that.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying.
There's gonna be no then like lighting here then?
That's already your safe.
That's already had, that
That's
Well,
for
it's
sure.
just here though, you got an area that's not.
This little section
and
is,
it's not for the lighting project that
Yeah.
you applied for.
it's part of it, yeah.
Oh, it is
It
part
was
of
the
the
lighting and the path.
No, where Casey just pointed out?
Yeah, there is no lighting there now, so that would have been part of the lighting.
The map's just wrong then.
Oh, okay,
Your map, okay, so it should be,
so it
Shaded.
should be all.
It's
It'll
the
be
right of
the
way.
right of way associated with your application.
okay.
Right.
Yes, that's the intent. And we can address the other stuff at a later time, but for purposes of moving forward.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, more discussion. Roll call.
Pillar.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Ovenover.
Aye, motion carried.
Okay, take care of that tomorrow. And then the last thing is just, I know it's over the last meeting, you guys have some places that are notorious for freezing in the winter time. I didn't even know this product existed. I know you guys have brought it up a couple times. Freezing water services, likely a depth problem or a soil type issue. It's pretty common for frost to get deeper in sandy soil. And you guys have changing soil types throughout town. So you've got a handful of places that have freezing problems. This is a product that private homeowners, or homeowners can put in their home and run out into their service lines. It's like an internal heat tape. So you guys have been bugging me about this, and I finally called the supplier, and they do sell them once in a while, and something that you just cut out a piece of your pipe and you kind of string it down the service line out towards the water main, plug it in when you need to, and it just acts to keep the service unfrozen in the winter time.
I know our biggest concern on this here is with the valving and stuff in there.
So you order these based on whatever length you want. You know, from the house to the street is probably 80 feet in most areas. You can order these 40 feet, 50 feet, 80 feet, whatever you really want. Yes, you'd have to run it through the curb stop and out into the street, which is kind of a weird situation.
I guess we could have conversations with our water folks on, because we've had situations where the curb stop was non-functional for a period of time, and so they had a workaround plan for cutting water if there were an emergency or something like that. Maybe that's the way that we could address it in the short term.
Yeah.
Did you find out from the Department of Environmental Quality if this can go into the
Not
municipal
responded yet.
system?
They haven't responded yet.
Okay.
So we're waiting to hear if it can go beyond the curb stop to the corporation at the main.
And that's
Where
usually where the
water is
freezing.
shared with others.
Mhm.
Okay. That's usually where the freezing happens, is near the main
Near the
in the
core,
street.
yeah.
So this would go from your house to Middle Street?
Yep.
Okay,
If we find out that we can go
Right,
past the
right.
curb stop, yeah.
Okay, and it's a, depending on what length you order, $800 to $1,000 to $1,200 for one of these, plus some installation, which doesn't seem like to be very much, and then just a little energy to run it.
Well, we've talked this issue many times, and we just, like, it was with Monty today, we just, our citizens that have this issue, and we need to take care of it somehow. So as soon as we find out if this is a viable option, that'd be great, and it's something that we need to talk about, the city purchasing it and having it installed and getting it, or, because even if we dug up the ground and reran that line, we need to run it deeper, and the corporation isn't gonna get any deeper. At the main, we can't get any deeper, so Frost is still gonna get there.
You just insulate the heck out of it and hope that it works, but it doesn't always.
Have you seen that done, Jared, where new water line is put in and they put insulation around like that?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yep, yeah, we would detail for it. Anything under 6 feet deep, we try to insulate, just kind of build an insulation box around it.
And it's been successful.
The issue is, your streets are pretty new in this area.
It's brand new up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and if you're talking 6, 8, 10 of these houses, that's a big expense to dig up.
Well, based upon what we find here, maybe it's something that we give the individual citizens the option of either continuing to let their water drip or put one of these things in.
I think it's a neat product. I mean, there's definitely an application for it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we got an email from the health department saying they were looking into it, or they get back to us, we just haven't heard anything yet. That's all I have on my list.
Okay, any questions for Jared? Thank you.
Stick around.
When we talked about that water usage in that one house at the last meeting, you know, it is back to normal usage. It's good. Yep.
Wasn't an online.
Yeah, so that wasn't on the, yeah. All right, 6A, looks like we have a Hazen Lion Club raffle. And 6B is Hazen Alumni Association. Let's take A first.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll
Motion
second
by
that.
Wolf, second by Pillar, discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank you. Six B and C are both reduced, reduced hall rent. One is for Hazen Alumni Association, and that's for the all-school reunion. And then the other one is for SMC Hospice.
Motion approved both as presented.
Okay, motion by Hack,
Second.
second by Stern. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, done reports. Water, sewer,
Nothing to report at this time.
streets, cemetery.
Nothing to report at this time.
Okay, Dave?
I had about doing some blading today, and weather permits or warms up and some of this ice softens, we'll try to scrape some off throughout the week, try to smooth things out a little. Other than that, things are going good.
Equipment held up to 20 below this last week.
I had a sander go down on Friday or whatever, I replaced a small chain and stuff on it, and did some maintenance on the other one, but everything else is working good.
Thanks. Finance, busing.
Anything.
Okay. Police, fire, forestry.
Nothing at this time.
Buster.
I'll just speak from the bleachers. Annual meeting is coming up this Wednesday. I think most of you have responded one way or another. I do have a tentative count of 46 RSVPs, so looks like we're gonna have a nice turnout. Wade Basons is going to be the main speaker. He's gonna be talking about Project Tundra, which is the carbon capture business that's taking place over there at the mine at the center. So I think those that come will find that interesting. The other thing is we had our first pioneer meeting the other day, last Thursday with the reorganized board. That went well, and one of the things that we decided to do is we're going to take care of Joe Armstrong's remaining debt that we owe him, the development fees, and so that'll get processed. And needless to say, he was pretty pleased when I called him and told him that we were going to take care of that. We still have, we need to get together with Western Steel in Austin. I'm assuming on the garages. I have an appointment set up, and it didn't work out for whatever reasons, and I'm not sure exactly what, but we'll try to get those squared away. And
What's left on those, Buster?
well, one is windows in the doors, which was originally what we had planned. Another thing that we had talked about is sheeting to the ceiling internally. They only went to the top of the walls. And then the third thing is the safety locks, supposedly, that are in there, the emergency locks if the power goes out, are at the top panel. And there are a lot of probably not so tall ladies that are residents over there that would have a heck of a time reaching those. And so we would like to have those switched around, and figure that they could get switched around when they're doing the windows. So, but, so yeah, we would like to get that project finished up so we can finish up the, you know, that loan has been outstanding for a long time, that construction loan on it. Any other questions? That's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Buster. The only thing I want to mention is, I guess, more of a discussion point for the future is that this past week at the Mercer County Planning and Zoning meeting, they did approve is it a conditional conditional use permit for
I
dam?
don't think so.
Or was
It was the actual permit.
It was, yes, but I think it was a temporary.
Was
Okay,
it temporary?
I think it was a temporary use.
Okay.
Don't quote me for sure.
so that is for the mining of the frac sand that is between the Crossroads and Stanton on the north side of the highway. It's about halfway between the company that they approved So they are already talking with DOT and making a turning lane when the trucks come onto the road onto 200 for a safety issue. And they also talked about making adding concrete from the highway north on their approach for like 200 feet, I believe it was. The other thing that the concerning part is that in a 24-hour period, we'd be looking at about 200 trucks a day going through Hazen. And that's a lot of traffic and a lot of safety concern, in my opinion. That's when we talked about having a walking underpass over by Senex. I think it just adds to the case. And this could be a 5, 10, 15-year project of the mining of the frac sand. So it's not like it's a 3-week or one summer project. That's 24/7, 365, that truck traffic. So the other thing is, in discussion, I was coffee shop today. Shocker, I know, but the word is out about this, and people are concerned about the safety, and things I've heard are, well, why doesn't the city put a stop sign on Highway 200 by Highway Express or Senex? So I said we can't. We can request it, but that's only DOT, and they've already told us in the past that they don't want to do that. And also another suggestion was slow the traffic down to 25 going through town, and no jake braking, and have a noise reduction of the semis. All great suggestions, and obviously things that I think eventually we're the only city that these trucks will be going through. We'll be going from here in Mercer County here to the oil fields. So I think we need to be vocal with the DOT and possibly write a letter in our concern to see what they would do to help out with, if they need to start doing some traffic studies, and once the semis start or whatever. But I think be proactive ahead of time instead of reactive after the fact and say, well, now all these trucks are here, now what are you going to do? So we put some thought into that in the next couple weeks here. And I've not seen from the county yet when this is supposed to start. Dan, did you hear that? Or
The company has said that their intention is to start this spring,
okay.
but I don't know an exact timeline or if that's feasible.
Okay. So, food for thought, things we could have to consider. That's all I have. A 10A financial audit. Monty did contact Raffenmeyer, and
Actually, I contacted I. Bailey and Brady Marks. I. Bailey did not respond. Brady Marks did respond. Their base fee is $10,000. If they or prepare the financial statements, they estimated anywhere from a couple thousand to 5,000. So.
Rathmeyer is who we have worked with for a number of years, correct? Their fee is not to exceed $7,300. Okay, I'd make a motion then that we, based upon the feedback that we received in going out for competitive bid, that we award it to Rathmeyer for the annual audit for the city.
we have a motion by Pillar
Second.
and a second by Hack. Discussion.
Thank you for checking on that one.
Roll call.
Miller.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Ovenover.
Aye. Motion carried. Ten B, planning for the future, circular from DHG. Where is that? We've done this in the past, correct, Monty?
Correct. An ad similar to the one we ran last year, full color, would be $294 for a 3 by 7 inch full color ad.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Wolf,
Second.
second by Stern, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Thank you. 10C, North Dakota Clerks Association. Monty?
This would be for the municipal clerk of court. We did participate in this association up until 2016. I don't know if it was just when we had a change in staffing that we didn't continue it, but I thought I would leave it up to you. I don't know that it's a great benefit. There is a conference that Tammy will be able to attend in May, which may give her some more information that would be helpful. It's $100 a year.
Would we be able to send Tammy to this either way?
Well, and
Because of the third being the new clerk of court, it would be nice to get her some.
I'm sure there would be a different conference fee. This is included with your dues, so.
Okay. Okay.
So when we've participated in the past and somebody's attended this event, they bring anything back of value to the city, or what do they gain?
The most of this stuff comes from the municipal judge himself when he does the fall conference in October. He brought a lot of information. Like I say, we haven't done this since 16, so.
Okay. So our judge and our clerk attend this event?
The judge usually attends the fall conference with all the other judges. This is geared for municipal clerks, district court clerks, and some of the Supreme Court clerks.
Pat?
The clerk of court has specific duties defined by law, and they will, it is very unique job, so it's very, in my opinion, it's very useful for whoever's going to be the clerk of court to attend that conference. Okay. The training, I would hope, would be very applicable to our court. Municipal courts are unique in themselves also, so this is a whole new deal.
Okay. Thank you, Pat. Yeah, so do we want to be a member of this, even though our people could still go to these conferences? It just might cost us more, to offset it.
Probably cost $125 to send them if they're not a member.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion that we sign up for that and make that available for Tammy.
Okay, motion by Pillar.
Second.
Second by Stern. Discussion. And if she goes and she says, you're wasting your money, then
we'll
fine.
do it next year.
But exactly. Okay, the motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And did you want to roll call for that, Monty? I'm sorry.
No, that's,
No? Okay.
so was the one before it. It's unanimous, so it's not a problem.
Okay,
This one might be different.
11A, pumper truck, Hazen Fire Department. All right. Who wants to speak first from the fire department? Jeff, you're not here just to sit here and watch us, so you have something on your mind, so we would love to hear input and comments from you guys. So we really don't need it then. Okay.
I will. So, I went and did a little more checking on, I talked with Union State Bank a little more on financing for a truck. We're still at that 3.09% for a 10-year term, but they are willing to drop the interest rate a little bit to go to a 12-year, which would be a 3.42, or a 3.75 for a 15-year. So 10 years still at $50,414 43 cents.
Casey, I'm sorry, tell me the 12-year again,
3.42
3.42.
and 375 for 15.
Okay.
So yeah, the 10 years of 50,000, 414.43. The 12 year, the 44, 133.01, and the 15 year, 37,902.73. Still at the $10,000 from a rural board. That's all they are able to put in towards it. 10,000 a year for up to 10 years. The fire department would still be willing to do that 5,000 a year for up to 10 years. And that's really all we came up with for money, for any additional funding on it, with the exception of when we sell our current pumper, would be a principal reduction for it. Still up in there, I've talked with the Brindley Mountain, we're anywhere from that 40,000 to 100,000 for the truck. Just kind of depends if we find the right buyer. It's kind of a huge swing. I mean, so I would definitely think we could get somewhere in that 75,000 range for it, is what I'm thinking. So, so yeah, that's really all we came up with on the financial side. The only reason we're in here asking is that truck, like we said before, is 22 years old. It's gonna be over 23 years old before we get a new one. Starting to have little issues here and there. We just don't want big problems. That's kind of the only reason. So.
When we looked through the budget from 2019, of the budgeted funds, there was 38,000 that wasn't expended, just in the last year.
We,
Please.
Just from my point of view, the truck is 23, going on 23 years old. Things are gonna start failing. It's just a matter of time when it happens. And I hope it's not on a call in town, because that'd be tough, all the way around. We have had an issue where, the water pump went out on us, on a call in Neola, and they had to shut the truck down right then and there. So, safety wise, there's airbags all the way around inside the truck for our firefighters to keep them safe. If we do happen to get into an accident, you're seeing it more and more nowadays. Fire trucks are more accidents from oncoming traffic that are docking or whatever. Puts our firefighters at risk. So with the new truck, it has airbags all the way around the cab, which is a better safety feature for us. Got to look out for our guys.
So Monty,
Compared to what we have now, and that there's nothing. I just don't want to see small things start tumbling and happening, because eventually it's going to come into a big one. And I think if we make the decision now, we're getting the truck at this price. If we wait a couple more years, we're going to be over 600,000.
and just speaking for myself, I don't want to put words into anybody else's mouths here, but I don't think anybody's adverse to moving forward with this. It's simply identifying where in a already approved deficit budget, where do we come up with another, whatever it ends up being here. The last meeting we talked about $25,000, a year on there. Now, Monty, the $38,000 that was left over was due to not spending those things that we had budgeted for, which could have been a truck failing in the city or whatever. I mean, were there big ticket items that you
I
identified?
only looked at the general fund, which is where this would come from. So that was basically between wages and, like you say, machines failing or whatever, yeah.
So not necessarily monies that could be depended upon year after year.
Not specifically, no, but we've even identified at least another 6,000 or 7,000 just in the fire department budget that they've had.
I do have a question, Monty. We had talked about, like mills on the city side for fire protection. Did you do any looking into that?
I did do a little limited, it would basically fall under our general fund levy.
Okay.
So, yeah, we can increase the mills, we're not at the max yet, but there is nothing specific anymore for fire department other than fire department buildings.
Because we don't have a separate tax for fire protection in the city, right? Correct?
No, there currently is no levy for fire.
That's what I was curious.
So that would be an option,
Yes.
to put that on the ballot for levy.
Yep.
What would,
Is that unusual for Hazen that we do not have that at this point versus
No,
Beulah Center, wherever?
no. There's, as far as I know, there's only 2 cities in the county that are actually levying in the city for the, as part of their fire district levy.
Okay.
Monty, what would a mill bring for
Last
this?
year, each mill was $7,000, just over 7,000.
And that's just majority, that's not super majority, that's just majority vote, correct? We need 51%.
You need a 60% to increase the levy.
Oh, you do need 60%.
And that's simply spread across then?
To every
All
property,
the
same as all the
properties.
other property taxes, yeah.
Okay.
Based on the number of mills.
That's a popular thing, is to raise mills. That'll be another coffee shop discussion for sure. But it's one of the, obviously one of the ways in small communities, it's like special assessing homeowners for new streets and everything else. You know, that's sometimes the only way to get things paid for it, unless there are other alternatives. Someone brought USDA, was that you?
No, we were both
Yes.
sitting there and somebody told us that.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if we were at a basketball game, but they were talking about grant writing and stuff like that, and apparently USDA is a potential source of funding that the person that talked to Jerry and I suggested that they as an organization find themselves in a situation where they're not even asked for monies sometimes in some of the different categories that they have.
That's
Who was
something
it
to
that
look at.
talked to us?
Is that a Bible study?
Yes,
Okay.
who was it?
All
It
right.
had to be one of
So,
them.
yeah,
We'll-
all right.
we'll-
Well,
We'll find out who it was that talked to us and see if we can get some more detail. We don't wanna send anybody on a wild goose chase, you know, just.
And we're completely open to grants, and we've tried putting in for different grants. And it's like I said last time, we have way too much equipment in our fire district. We really do. You know, and that's the first thing they look at on any grants.
Yeah.
So the successful recipients of these grants have 50-year-old.
Elgin's fire truck, like, yeah,
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
that's kind of what we're running into, and even like on the AFG side, they won't even consider it until your truck is at least 25 years old, at least. But then they also look at, we have to fill out everything we have for equipment. So rural side, we've got a 2015 mini pumper. Well, that's a red flag. We've got a 2008 tanker pumper. That's a red flag. You know, even though that's not a city fire truck, it's still used on any city fires, but that hurts us for getting funding on the city side. You know, if we were able to show that our only truck is 22 years old, that's a little easy. But
Since the last meeting, did we take opportunity to get in touch with any potential corporate sponsorship? Any, the plants and stuff like that, albeit they're not in our territory.
the
We
only
have
person
service.
I talked to was with Brian Dillman from the gas plant.
Okay,
And he told me not to even waste my time. And Brian's one of our firefighters, but he's also, I think, high enough up at DGC to where, and it's like I said before, like we went out to Lee Olds and put a fire up there. They gave us $10,000 donation to better our fire equipment. They give us a donation every year towards our calendar raffle, which is what we were gonna use funding from on the fire department side to help pay for this truck. They give us donations every year, just a flat $1,000 donation.
Sure.
Here and there, a couple times a year. I guess us as a department talking, well, where do we wanna draw the line on that? Do we wanna go in and ask them like, hey, we're looking for another $10,000 for a truck, or 15,000 or 5,000, or we don't wanna go in there and look like we're gonna, we get that same money from DGC, we get the same money from Coteau, from Coyote Creek, from Coyote Station, from, ABS. We've never went and responded to a fire at ABS or DGC. The DGC covers all of their own stuff, but they still give us funding towards it to help, which is nice, but we don't want to cause bad feelings or anything with them, and then all of a sudden, well, they're not grateful for what they're receiving.
First of all, I wish you were all here at the last meeting. We all appreciate the heck out of everything you volunteers do. We're fortunate in Hazen. I hope you never have to come to my property, ever. But we're lucky to have what we have. And we want this to happen. It's just, where does the money come? You just look at it like your own personal budget. Where does it come from? And that's the hard thing. If we can't come up with that extra 20,000 a year to pay for it, how do we pay for it? Well, that's the problem. I know this isn't gonna be a popular comment, but, what if we bought a 10-year-old used truck? I can't afford a new car every time I need a new vehicle, so I buy used. Yeah, you might not get the great warranty, you might not get, all the new bells and whistles. You might not know if it's been in an accident or who treated it poorly or whatever. But you might be able to save $200,000, $300,000, $400,000.
Question on that, Jerry.
Yeah.
Is your car, do you depend on your car for your life?
Absolutely. I drive my car that's my business.
Are you inside a fire, depending on that engine and pump to keep running?
Only when my wife's pissed.
Question.
No.
That
No.
pump fails, that engine fails, it's 20 years old, and we got firefighters inside there. Their only lifeline is that water hose.
Yeah.
Luckily, most of the time, we do have a secondary truck on scene, where we can send water in to help get them. But
I myself,
Great comment. I
don't wanna
totally.
stir anything up. here,
I know,
but
I totally
there is
understand.
people's lives on line
Yep.
when it comes to that.
I myself would never consider a used fire truck. First of all, we don't know how they've been treated. One option I did look into, and I know I brought that up before, is doing a refurb on our current truck. That's over $350,000. To make it go through the pump, go through the engine, everything. I would do that long before I buy a used truck.
Sure.
Because we know
how
what
it's
we
been.
have.
Yeah, right.
But do we wanna put $350,000 into a 22-year-old truck? That's your guys' call. I mean, I think our department would be willing to go that route, but by the time, then you look 20 years down the road again, that truck's worth nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But
One
there's an option.
of the things that you talked about in the last meeting is that there's, over the years, there had been money left over in the budget.
Mhm.
And where it went, one time it was requested to, how was that?
This year, we took the excess funding that wasn't expended from their budget and put it into there, which they could have
Right.
done many years in a row.
And had we done that in the past, we might just be voting yay and move forward.
Mhm.
What, a refurb on this here, $100-some thousand, yes, less, I understand it's an old vehicle. But I see them in the parade, they look great, maybe that's just all lipstick on a pig, I don't know, but, what does that do to us then in terms of making payments, and then, is there opportunity then to build that fund beginning now, moving forward, or does it all get used then for making payments? Just looking at what options might be available here. Yes, you.
If we do, do a refurb, you look 20 years down the road at that truck, you're not gonna get a dime for it, and the new truck's gonna cost over. And so, essentially, in my opinion, you're still gonna be sitting right where we're sitting right now.
Okay.
Because your funds are still short.
Fair comment.
Well, I know like I brought up before, we bought this truck 22 years ago myself, a truck replacement fund. You guys know we paid $240,000 for this truck 22 years ago. So why would we set up a truck replacement fund and put $5,000 a year in it and expect to replace the truck? So on my side of looking at that, me as being the fire chief shouldn't have to come in here and be like, we've got 25,000 left over in my line item. I did not go and waste some money on stuff. I should not need to come in here and ask you guys that. Can I put that in to replace my truck? I wasn't the chief for the last 10 years, so I wasn't able to come in here and be like, it can't be all, we're here to fight the fires. And try to do the best we can. We're not here to come in and make sure that there's money being put away to replace our equipment, or, we're a volunteer fire department. That's all we are, so I guess I kind of feel a lot of responsibility is on the city itself too. Like,
Well, at
okay,
the
there's
end of the year,
40,000.
Casey, you look at our savings, we don't have $10 million sitting up there that we've been putting your extra money into.
Didn't say you did.
But, so we try to be, and we haven't been the commissioners for 10.
No, I know.
Either.
So that's why it's a.
We need to do police vehicles, we do payloaders, we do trucks, there's, we're gonna put a $30-some thousand roof on part of this building, there's all those things, and you're right, and if, I think for this duration, that we decided to go this way, that whatever's left, you guys are frugal, that money should go straight into that, so. But.
And it's like we said, we'd hope if we were to buy this, Monty and I went through we're $6,000 to $10,000, probably we can easily put in there. But if we have a year that isn't extremely busy, there might be 40,000, 50,000 left in our budget.
Yeah.
But we can't guarantee that, and it's just no
Right.
different than you guys
Right.
saying, well, we can't guarantee that.
Right.
So, no, I hear you, we understand it. So.
It just comes down when we sit and go through the development of the budget. It's challenging to try to figure out where the monies are gonna come from to fund the different things that go on within the city. Sure.
I guess just one idea, I know years ago, in a swimming pool, I know that we had done, I guess, like raised up the, I guess, the sales tax, and I would think that's almost paid off, let's say, and, maybe then, once swimming pool is all paid off, keep that tax, pay for, I guess, items like this.
That's always an option, and so is adding 0.25% to our sales tax that went directly to the fire department.
I'd say that we're already too high, but.
A lot of people would agree with you. I know.
Well, it's either sales tax, hitting everybody, including people who don't live here, or hitting the people who live here in town only with mill levies. We're gonna pay either way, so.
With the sales tax, you'll get
More
more
from
from other.
We'll get people that live out in the country, we'll, get people that come into town, more of that than just the people who live in town.
And even that sometimes gets taken back from you.
Yeah.
Because legally, we can only demand a certain amount of sales tax, and so entities that have paid more than that can request it returned. And we've had funding that we already had in the bank, so to speak, with HCD, for instance, that disappeared we had to, give that money back because it went back to, the organization that requested it. So even to rely on sales tax sometimes can end up biting you.
Yeah.
But now, with regard to what Casey is talking about with the pool, is that something that there's a term ending on that?
Currently, it's set up to sunset after 10 years, which would be 2023.
2023. And when it sunsets, then in order to extend that, it would be like starting from scratch. You would be voting for that. Okay. 2023 is a ways away.
And the park board has already discussed extending it to do maintenance on all their parks, which is getting more expensive all the time too. Their playgrounds are way out of date and not compliant anymore. And
So if you go for a mill levy, that has to be voted on by the population. Is that with the election, or is it a special election, or,
it would be best to do it with the election.
and can you still get that in?
Yes.
We could do a special election, but
That's my
it
question.
would cost
Yeah, you
more,
can.
right?
Right. But if you can still get it into the election this year.
Yeah.
Well, again, you guys have done a great job of trying to figure out the financials. And these terms through Union State Bank, those are nice, nice percentages.
There's no prepayment penalty, is there?
There isn't. I know we talked at the last meeting too about, the hospital. How long was left on that, Monty?
4 years.
So our first payment would not be due until, it's a year from whenever we sign. If we sell a truck, there's at least enough there for the first payment. And maybe enough for the second payment, but I don't know, I think it would be foolish to hold on to that money and let it sit there for another year. I mean, you'd wanna take and use that as a prepayment, or, principal reduction on there.
At least the majority of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Principal reduction is
It's
a
gonna
powerful
save
thing,
us.
there's no question. But being able to make the payment
Yes.
is also a very important thing as well.
So the Rosenbauer truck, the down payment was $150,000, that was the down payment?
Well, they would be able to do a little bit more because
156 is what we were gonna put down, that's what we got in our truck replacement fund. At this time, that truck is $583,714. And that's if we do a prepayment on it. Otherwise, it's $616,308. To go to a Pierce is $659,676. And Rosenbauer and Pierce are both telling me that, like Rosenbauer's holding this price right now. They're telling me anywhere from a 3 to 5% increase this spring. So you add 3% on 600,000, another 18 grand to 30 grand. If we do this again next year and the year after, it's like Steven said, if we refurb this truck next time, we're looking at over $1 million for a truck. Or 2 years from now, we're looking at 750,000. So, and we realize that too, and that's why we're here.
You get a truck now, it's good for hopefully another 22 years.
And it should be, there's no reason.
You guys take great care of things, and barring an accident or insurance kicks in.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments from anybody?
I would actually say that next truck would probably last longer, to be honest with you. You look at stuff that was built, this truck was built in '98, if I remember right. How many '98 vehicles you still see running around the road? Most of them are busted down and beat up. But you get 2000 model vehicles that got 300,000 miles and still run great and no problems on them now. stuff is being built better and lasting longer than back then. Not saying that we can't do our due diligence and put the money away just in case, you know.
Good point, Mr. Weaver. Okay, so tonight, Monty, are we looking to have a vote if we're gonna move forward with this?
I think that would be your best bet. And I guess I would recommend going with a longer term, there's no prepayment penalty, at least we know we can.
Yeah.
We can find places to cut to make that, and especially after the hospital payment is done, it's.
That's how much was that again?
25.
Okay, I would entertain a motion.
I will make that motion to go with the 15-year loan.
Okay, motion by Wolf.
Second.
Second by Hack. Discussion. Casey.
So then if we go with that loan then, so then we're not gonna put any money away for the future then? Or,
Well, if there's enough after the payment, I suppose, but I don't know how we can right away. Monty, and
I'd say put nothing away until it's paid off.
until it's paid, yeah.
so then all we're doing is just moving the can down the road for the next
Yeah,
improvement.
we'll have the same issue with 25 years down the road.
And you can't, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, this is, you know, you're doing a 15-year loan, I mean, and like Rusty was saying, we're thinking this truck will last longer. You do 10 years of money putting away, that truck's still gonna be worth more because the technology's better and it's gonna be newer than when if you would refurbish the old one as well.
Yeah, so it may be after the term of this loan, that would be your opportunity then to take any excess and start putting that into a bigger than $5,000 a year replacement fund.
Pat?
Is that 15-year loan, that's from the city, right?
The city would have. the
So
money.
is that with Union State rather than the fire,
Yes.
Yeah.
fire truck?
Yeah.
Yeah, right up to your right, Pat, on the screen.
3.75.
Right,
And I did notice one discrepancy on there.
right, well, I know you have another alternative.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I
Was
just
the
wanna make
four
sure you know
twenty-seven,
which
two
one you're-
fourteen is actually 427,714,
Okay,
but we're talking $500. I mean, that's,
it's not gonna add that much onto your payment.
so,
Well, you know, I hate to put all of our eggs in one basket, you know, training, bunker gear, you know, all your other equipment, maintenance, and, you know, it's almost like you're putting everything into this one very important piece.
But that's still budgeted for within your own, the general budget for the fire department. The bunker gear and all of that type of stuff,
Still budgeted.
that's still a part of our budget, our approved budget. So we're not saying no bunker gear, no safety training, none of that kind of stuff, because it's all going towards the loan. So we're still covered on that portion of it.
yeah, we've still got everything broke down. And that's why I said Monty and I looked through a lot of this stuff. There's an easy $6,000 to $10,000 that we can save right here, which would then be going towards that payment also. And we want this just as bad as, I mean, worse than you guys do. I mean, we're willing to, if we don't need to buy something foolish, we won't. If it's something
I
that's.
hope you don't budget for anything foolish.
Well, no, but there's certain equipment that may not be needed, you know, if we don't need to buy that, we'll skip that, we won't do that, we'll put that money towards a truck, and that's something we've always looked at. Because anyone that's ever had this commissioner, the portfolio for the fire department, Every other chief has came in towards the end of the year and spending money. I mean, I've seen it, I've been on the department for 15 years.
3 of us have now had that.
So,
portfolio.
and that's
Yeah.
what's happened every year, right? I didn't come into the department, I didn't come in here at all this year wanting to spend any additional money on anything. All I wanted was to keep that money and put it towards a truck. Cause that, to me, is the most critical piece of equipment we need in our fire department at this time. So, and, you know, that's what I'm expecting our new fire chief to do too. So.
We'll wait, newer?
We'll get to that.
That's coming up.
We'll get to that under 12.
Yes, I did not run for any positions, so.
So, you know, I know this is a little bit off topic, but there have been discussions in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years about adding on to the fire hall. That's gonna have to take a back seat big time.
Yeah, that was more of a, I think that was more of a dream, would you guys not say so? It's, could we use more room? Absolutely. Is it necessary? Is it an absolute deal? No. One of the things people always, well, it'd be nice to keep equipment out of our wash bay. We got basically, let's utilize it. If you gotta move a truck to wash a dirty truck, you gotta move it, it's minor, you know, so.
Well, I guess, so there gonna be a, like a maximum cap that we pay every year on this loan, or is it we just pay the difference of what they can't pay?
Is that a question to us right now, or is that you know, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't think we haven't.
Yeah, it goes down the line. You guys committed to $5,000 a year. What if you don't sell enough life keeper, or whatever you do to raise $5,000?
Well, we can raise $5,000 a year. And that's why we said we're committed to $5,000 a year for 10 years. And just like our rural board, they're like the same thing. They're committed to $10,000 a year for 10 years. So we're willing to take care of 15,000 of it for the next 10 years. So 150,000, 50 from the fire department, 100 from the rural fire department.
So on a term of 15 years, then the last 5 years of that term, then the city would be obligated for an additional $15,000
Depending on
per
the
year.
principal reductions amount to the year.
Fair enough.
So, I don't know if we
Just
have
to,
to
just
put
to
a
be
cap on it.
transparent on it. Yeah.
Yes, Pat.
I think the short answer is, once the city signs a promissory note to the bank for a 15-year loan, the city is obligated to pay the entire amount. Where you get your revenue from is irrelevant in terms of repayment. I mean, you're gonna be obligated.
In 3 or 4 years, we might say we have to try to run, you know, get a tax added on or a levy, or who knows? It's,
Maybe so. We cross that bridge.
I mean, too, you know, I guess one thing I don't like is that I mean, like, we don't have a plan of how that we're really gonna pay for this, you know, we're just gonna say, yes, buy a truck, and, you know, I guess we'll see once in the future how we're gonna pay for this. I don't know if
we've got a kind of a plan on a napkin drawn out. I know, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's not, we don't have for sure monies dedicated and set aside. We're hoping this happens.
The for sures is that no action today means that any costs for the future are gonna be significantly greater. That's already been demonstrated from the manufacturers of these trucks. They've documented basically what the increases would be, so it's just gonna get to where it's gonna cost more and more as we move forward.
You can enter into agreements if you want with the fire department, if they are willing to sign promissory note to the city, you know, I mean, there's nothing to prohibit that, where they say, yeah, we agree to pay you. It's a loan from the city to the fire department then, but they could say, yeah, we'll pay you $5,000 a year for this many years. And that's then becomes contractual, you'll have something.
Mhm.
But without that, it is indeed just the city's obligation, so.
Well, isn't it the city's obligation regardless, because don't they get their funding from us? Basically, so basically, we're telling you, pay us back the money that we gave you to operate. All you do with that is just cut their budget to some degree. If you feel they're overspending, you just say, well, instead of giving you 40,000 this year, we're gonna cut your budget and we're gonna put more of that money towards the truck. You guys are gonna have to do without. I mean, am I wrong?
Well, what I heard the conversations earlier was that this was gonna come from outside of their budget money.
It is.
It's coming
And
from
I think it'd be foolish if we're gonna get in an argument, we
Yeah.
need a promissory note between us
Yeah.
or the rural board, because we've all worked excellent together with the rural board, and with the fire department. And we do fundraising all the time and pay for a lot of stuff, a lot of our own equipment. And that's how we get by with a budget that has not really been raised. When you go through and look at it, our budget, our line items have not really changed. Now, I can tell you a set of bunker gear in the last 10 years has over doubled, but yet we still get by with the same amount of money and don't come to you guys for any more. So how do we do that? So you guys think you would really need to sign a promissory note with the fire department?
Rural has
$100 a
really
year?
stepped up.
That to me is amazing. I think that's me putting
Well, it is what it is, you know.
So,
Any more discussion? We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Monty, can you read that motion?
Are you done right here?
Motion to purchase the Rosenbauer pumper financed through USB on a 15-year term.
Does it have to be Rosenbauer? So are we talking possibly Pierce too, or no? Are we?
the Pierce is,
No,
No? Okay.
no,
not for the
that's
extra
another 70
$60,000.
Okay, okay.
so.
Monty, when you have your auditors come in and they see this, does this raise a red flag to the auditors?
Hasn't in the past.
We have a motion and a second, any more discussion? Roll call.
Wolf,
Aye.
Hack,
Aye.
Pillar,
Aye.
Stern,
No,
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. Good luck.
Thank you.
Eleven B, tax deed property. 1123 Expansion Drive, we have the opportunity to purchase this property for $1 from the county because they put it up for auction. Nobody wanted it. There was nobody living in it at this time. However, the people that were in it we think were kind of squatting in it for a time, and we did get a chance to go through it and look at it. Dave, Ryan, Tongue, myself, Monty, Jason was there. It's pretty messy. And like I said, we can get it for $1. We need to decide if the county wants us to make a decision if we want it or not. They will clean out all contents. They will take everything out of there before anybody takes possession of it. They've even contacted the owner to come get their stuff if they want it. But it needs a new roof, it needs new flooring, it needs new appliances, it needs a lot. Do you have any pictures of the main floor, Monty?
No,
That's
I didn't,
That's
sorry.
the basement.
No, I didn't, sorry.
The main floor looks similar to that. So does the third level, the second story. There's just a lot of things to it, and, and I guess the thoughts are, could we get it for $1? We would need to put in a minimum of $5,000 to $8,000 into it with a roof and whatever else, and could he flip it and turn it around and sell it and make $2,000, $3,000, $5,000? I don't know. Right now, I think occupancy
I
is.
see wheels turning in the,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
audience here.
Maybe we'll sell it to the fire department. You guys can flip it.
I'll give it to you for $2.
The valuation, we are receiving, probably more taxes off of this property than we probably, we're receiving taxes off this property. And it's one of those situations where I think if the county sells it to someone for very cheap, it's gonna continue to look like it does. The exterior looks like crap. That's a very nice picture of it right there. That's not what it looks like today. But I guess it's something we need to decide if we wanna go down this road. I'm afraid if someone buys it for really, really cheap, it's gonna continue to look really, really crappy too. It's gonna be just an eyesore in our community.
Other neighbors living on either side of it?
There were tracks in the snow, weren't there? The one on the left that they share the door entry.
I should contact HGTV.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I saw asked the question, it's not, I thought it was basically the whole building was owned by one, and then they like bought like a sublet type deal. Replacing the roof on that, I tend to agree with Ryan Tunge. I think you have to replace the whole works because there's been sufficient water damage. One of the bedrooms upstairs, it sags where they plastered it. I mean, it sags down, you can almost see the truss. I mean, where it's coming in, could you get by with 5? I don't know.
I think the timing is poor right now, just in terms of real estate market in the Hazen area. I mean, if you dump tens of thousands of dollars to fix this thing up, we got brand new homes that have been built here in Hazen that sit vacant right now because there's just not a market for it. I mean, $1.
Well, there's not a market for a $280,000 house, but maybe a $40,000 house. I agree. There's 40%. What is the occupancy right now, Buster? You said there's rentals and empty houses. Okay, so it's would that sit for a while? I don't know. We would be paying the taxes on it. We would be. These guys would be mowing the grass in the summer.
And there are no property taxes, it's just specials.
Just the specials. Okay. The county, when we talked to Terry Turnus, he's the one that let us in. He said that he doesn't know exactly when they'll be clearing everything out of it. He was hoping soon, but the county does want to know pretty soon, don't they?
From what I understand of Century Code, the city has a 30-day priority, and that expires basically today, tomorrow. Once we've lost our priority, it will be on the market.
But it's the county's property right now.
It is the county's property.
Because of delinquent taxes?
Correct.
You know, so I mean, on the property itself, I mean, there's no, I mean, usefulness to us, you know, I mean, you can't, I guess, like buy it and just like tear it down, you know, and do as we please with it. And then 2, I mean, if we're gonna do this, then we're driving down the value of I mean, like everybody else's place in town, you know, I mean, I would think that this is best to let those people in the business of, I mean, purchasing this, you know, if they want to, I guess.
Who in the city? Are you a flipper? I mean, in all honesty, is this the business that you wanna get in on?
And that's the thing, when we do it, who's doing all the work? Dave's guys?
There's a couple empty ones, just about 4 houses down, there's 2 empty
Yeah.
ones, basically in that same complex. We were there today at one of them.
Tough to burn that one down.
We'd have to get the neighbors to say.
It would help me out.
So Monty, if we say no to the county, do they just put it for sale sign of the yard then?
Basically, yeah, that or they'll make an agreement with the realtor and
Okay, well, unless anybody is,
I see a lot of risk.
I'd see a lot of risk too.
Especially in the market the way it is right now, I don't.
Well, Casey, I can point to, I mean, you're gonna drive people that have for sale signs, you're gonna drive the cost that's already driven down. I know one in particular over there, it's just, I don't like that idea either, personally.
Okay. If I don't hear anybody make a motion, we're gonna move on.
so probably be best to, I don't know. Would it be best to have a motion and vote it down,
Why?
or we don't need formal action to?
I don't think you need to make a motion to reject.
Lack of action is formal action, isn't it?
Isn't?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, all right. Moving on, so heads up on 2 property. Go for it. 11C, Gov Card Program Agreement, Monty.
Talked about this a little while ago as far as using credit cards for payments for city utilities, invoices and stuff. The biggest difference here is the fact that they would set it up so we could take invoice payments, busing payments, utility payments, tickets, everything by a credit card with a lower fee than what is currently passed on to the consumer at this point. The initial cost is the terminal of $495, and it was $300 or just over $300 for the setup fee.
So with all of that being said, setup fee and everything like that, day one, to our citizens, the cost of doing business with a credit card would drop immediately.
Yes.
And this is something other cities have already jumped on board with.
Yeah, there's at least 6 that just jumped on. There were some before that, but this was just recently endorsed by the League of Cities.
I think it's gonna help our community. It's like when we started taking credit card payments with least it just made things quicker and easier. And you call someone up and they're willing to pay it right over the phone.
And realistically, it's surprising how many are willing to pay the $4 or 3%.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do it at cash machines all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Monty needs if we want to
Make a motion that we move forward with the Gov Card program.
make a motion by Pillar,
Second.
second by Stern, discussion. Roll call.
Pillar.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Obenauer.
Aye, motion carried, thank you. 12A, Hazen Fire Chief and Assistant Election. Who's taking this on?
Okay. Yeah. Election assistant.
Okay. Congratulations, thank you. We appreciate it.
We do actually formally appoint once their election is
Okay.
over.
You understand?
Oh, I'm staying on, yeah. I
Okay,
just need more time for my own business.
so we need to make a motion to appoint these guys.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Wolf
Second.
and second by Stern. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? You're in. No Bible, no hand, or nothing, you're good. All right, City Hall improvements, lighting, electrical estimate. You'll see that we have an estimate from Olson to do some improvements in the hall for our electrical panel. You know, it seems like any event we have, especially the Taste of Hazen, we are popping breakers. We're looking for extra outlets and cords and strips and whatnot. You'll see on here the estimate.
Is he replacing fixtures or is he just using LED tubes?
He'll just be, yeah, he'll keep the fixtures, he'll just put the LED tubes in them.
Okay.
And then the circuits that he figures he can free up, he'll either pull new wires or separate them just to put fewer outlets on each breaker.
Okay.
He estimated the total would be right around that 5,100, because the 3166 is only to do the LEDs in the halls. And then it would be about another 1,800 to 2,000 to redistribute those circuits for the outlets. I did put in a request to CVB, which they sounded pretty favorable about for half of that cost, the 2,500. So it'd be 2,600 out of our.
And Mark would have this work done before the next.
He said he would have it done before the Taste of Hazen, yes.
Did we solicit this?
We actually started this process a year and a half ago.
No.
I didn't know if Mark just came in and said, hey.
No.
I'll do this for you.
We've been needing it.
No.
Okay.
So if we want to move forward with this, we need a motion, please.
So moved.
Motion by Hack. Second by Stern. Discussion.
I know there's other events that it's not only affected too, so
Oh, yeah, there's, yeah.
it's not a terrible problem.
Roll call.
Hack.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Hiller.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Obenauer.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you. Election agreement, Mercer County.
With the primary and general elections this year, it's basically the same agreement as every other year. You'll notice from the letter that they are doing vote by mail, but we'll have a precinct in Hazen and Beulah.
Of course we will. Do you need to get back to them, Monty?
All we need is signature, so there should be a motion to approve your signature on it. Again, we just pay for the programming, the actual programming costs for the scanner and the motor assist terminals. Yeah, same as every other year.
Motion approved.
Motion by Hack,
Second.
second by Wolf. Discussion. Roll call.
Hack.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Hiller.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Obenauer.
Aye, motion carried. So we're experimenting work. All right, 12D, 2019 budget amendments.
I guess I sent out the spreadsheet of all the different amendments, so if there's any questions. Big ones, the street project, depending on where we were with the costs and the advances from Bank of North Dakota is the main reason for those changes. The other big one was in the highway funds. Basically, when we added the crushing into that, that was the biggest change there, both revenue and expenditure. Sales tax, we obviously just estimated less, and then when we transferred the money out for the crushing so it didn't have to go on the special assessment, was the reason for the change there. The majority of these are on the revenue side, where the revenues exceeded our estimates.
Anybody have any questions for Monty on these budget amendments? Okay, we need approval.
motion that we accept the amendments as noted.
Motion by Pillar,
Second.
second by Stern, discussion. Scott?
I just have a question about, where does that extra revenue go? Does that go into the general fund then as?
It goes into the fund where it was received. If it's general fund or the highway distribution fund, it goes into the highway distribution fund. If it's the enterprise funds, water, sewer, garbage, it stays in that fund.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Miller. Aye. Stern.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Overdauer.
Aye, motion carried. Approval of bills. A couple more here.
Motion approved.
Motion by Hack. Second by Stern, discussion. Roll call.
Hack.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Miller. Wolf.
Aye.
Overdauer.
Aye. Motion carried, meeting adjourned. You guys are invited every